My name is Amanda, and I'm a 40-year-old nurse. I've been happily married to my husband, John, for 15 years. However, in these 15 years of marriage, we haven't had any children. There were times when we wanted to have kids, but my job as a nurse keeps me busy, and John wasn't very enthusiastic about it. So, the timing never seemed right for us to have children.
What are we going to do about having kids?
Well, we're both pretty busy with work.
Yeah, I know. But I can't help but think about wanting kids. It'd be a symbol of our love, don't you think?
That's true. But as an OBGYN, I sometimes encounter sad situations. You understand that as a nurse too, right? When it comes to our own child, I get a bit nervous and scared about what could happen.
I get that, but still.
Maybe we should just wait for the right timing and not stress too much about it.
That might be true, but there's also the issue of our age.
Don't worry so much about it.
Got it.
And so, while talking with John, the opportunity just slipped away. I met my husband when we were both working at the same hospital. He was an OB/GYN, and I was an OB/GYN nurse. John was very persistent in asking me out, and eventually we started dating.
I'll never find anyone as wonderful as you.
He'd say to me every day, and I gradually found myself attracted to him. It was when I had just started working as a nurse, so having a doctor like John pursue me made me very happy. After we started dating, he quickly proposed, and we got married. Life with John was pure happiness. He was always so kind.
Are you tired today? How about we eat out?
No, it's okay. I'll cook.
It's fine. I know how hard you work.
That makes me happy to hear. Maybe we should eat out today then?
He was always considerate of me. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have a child with him. A child with such a kind person would make for a truly happy family. Or so I thought. One day, my husband surprised me by suggesting we celebrate our anniversary at a restaurant.
I've been so busy lately that I haven't had much time. But it looks like I can finally make some time. How about we go to the restaurant where I proposed?
15 years is a milestone. Thank you.
I'll come after work, so let's meet there.
Of course, I'm looking forward to it. I headed to the restaurant right after work. Just before I entered, I got a message from John.
Sorry, I have an emergency surgery that just came up. A pregnant woman who was brought in needs immediate surgery.
I see.
I'm really sorry. Also, I've got a month-long business trip starting suddenly. I'll be going straight there.
I understand. I'm glad you told me before I went inside. I pretended to understand, but I was actually quite disappointed. It's been a while since I've eaten out, and I was looking forward to it even more. However, I knew childbirth emergencies can't be helped, and I was proud of how dedicated John was to his work. After all, I've seen it up close. I had wanted to continue working at the same hospital as my husband, but working together as a married couple was awkward for John, so I transferred to another hospital before we got married. I did want to see him at work more often, but I respected his feelings. Even though we work at different hospitals now, I still know how amazing he is. As I was thinking about these things and leaving the restaurant,
Stop hurting my husband.
I suddenly heard someone shout, "What's going on? Is there some kind of trouble?" Just as I was about to turn around, a bat was swung at me. Oh my gosh! Before I knew it, a dull pain struck my head. Who could it be? I tried to see who it was, but my vision was blurred. And it wasn't just one bat. I'm being beaten. I realized that, but the pain was too intense to resist. As I lost consciousness, the surrounding voices grew louder. I could hear sirens, so I was probably being taken to the hospital. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. One I recognized as where John worked. My head and body ached, and I couldn't move, but all I wanted was to see John. Even though he might not be able to come because of an emergency surgery, I missed him terribly. A nurse came to check on me, and when she noticed I was conscious, she called for a doctor. After the tests, they told me that none of my injuries were life-threatening, and I wouldn't have any lasting effects. However, I had severe bruising all over and needed to stay in the hospital for a while.
Do you have any family?
When she asked, I told her about my husband. And I asked her, "Could you call Dr. John Smith from the OB/GYN department?"
John Smith. Is he a doctor?
Yes, he is.
I remember a doctor by that name from over 10 years ago, but his name changed. I heard his former wife passed away.
What do you mean?
Could you wait a moment? I need to check something.
Okay. I couldn't understand what was happening. Is it because I was hit on the head? Or is this really happening? What does this mean? A few minutes later, the nurse returned.
There isn't a doctor by that name. The name has changed, but should I bring that doctor here?
I thought for a moment. No, that's okay. Could you contact my sister? She's my family. So, I decided to call my sister, my only family. Our parents had passed away early, and it had just been the two of us living together. My sister is 10 years younger than me, and I adored her. Our grandmother was still alive and helped us out, so we lived together in our family home. My sister and I are very close, and her presence is a great comfort to me.
Amanda, what happened?
I got suddenly attacked. This happened, but there's a bigger problem now.
What do you mean? Should we tell John?
No need to tell him. I just want to talk to you.
Okay.
So, my sister kept quiet for the moment. I began to explain to her. You see, they told me John's name has changed.
What do you mean?
Well, John Smith is his name, right? But they said it changed. They think I'm dead.
What? That makes no sense. You're alive.
I know, but somehow, in this hospital, they think I'm dead, and my husband's name has changed. Never mind that I'm supposedly dead.
Why would John's name change?
I don't understand either, but maybe we can find out by checking the records. John said he'll be away on a business trip for a while, so we might have some time to figure this out. If I can get discharged soon, we can handle the paperwork in the meantime.
Right. I'll use my contacts to look into it.
Thank you. After that, I was exhausted and fell asleep, unable to process everything. Luckily, my injuries weren't too serious, and I was able to leave the hospital in a week. My sister shared what she had found. Is it possible to learn so much in just 1 week?
Yes. So, the woman who attacked you is named Melissa. She was caught by people nearby and is now in police custody. Also, there was a boy with her who was also apprehended.
A boy? Oh yes, there was more than one bat.
We did some investigating, and when you're feeling better, we can go see her. We've filed a complaint, so she'll be in custody for a while.
I see. I also remembered something. When I was attacked, I heard someone shout, "Stop hurting my husband."
Really? But we might find out more when we talk to her.
All right, I'll go see her after dropping off my stuff at home. So, I headed to the detention center right after leaving my things at home. When the woman was brought out, she looked completely different from what I had imagined. I expected someone violent, but she seemed very calm and subdued. However, she appeared extremely frail. Hello, I'm Amanda.
I'm Melissa McCarthy.
I recognized her last name and was certain. I started to ask her questions. You shouted, "Stop hurting my husband." What did you mean by that?
Exactly what I said. You're hurting my husband. You've been stalking my husband, John, haven't you?
Stalking.
Yes. Even though you were dating him before, he married me. But you kept following him. You forced him to go out to eat with you recently, didn't you? My husband couldn't come home every day because he was worried about what you might do if you found our home. We felt suffocated because of you. We can't travel. I had to quit my job. And we rely on online grocery delivery because we can't go to the store. And yet you went out to eat with him.
All right. It seems there are misunderstandings between us. By the way, where did you meet John?
I was planning to raise my child as a single mother. But while I was pregnant with my son, I met my husband. I went for a checkup at the hospital where my father is the director, intending to give birth there, and that's where I met him. He was very attentive. At first, he probably thought he had to be careful because my father had told him I was his daughter. But he gradually started to like me and reached out to help. We got married 13 years ago and even had a wedding reception.
I see.
So, if you hadn't been stalking my husband, we could have been happier.
That might be true, but it's the same for me. However, there's one thing I need to tell you.
What is it? Are you still going to say you're married to my husband?
Actually, I thought we were married. I believed John had filed for marriage papers, but that wasn't the case.
What?
When I checked the marriage certificate, there was no evidence that we were ever married. I thought he had taken my last name, so I never changed mine, and there were no procedures done. So, I never realized.
What do you mean?
He proposed to me, but he said, "I come from a family of women who cheat. I don't want to marry you into such a family. Could I join your family as a son-in-law?" So I agreed. But we never went to file the marriage license together. He said he would handle it alone. So I don't even know if he really filed it.
So,
He was in a bigamous state. Since bigamy is not allowed in the US, he used his job to create this situation.
No way. So I was deceived?
Yes. In fact, we don't have children. Because of his work, he said he didn't want to have children. But the truth is, having a child would reveal that we weren't legally married. That's why we didn't have kids. And he thought no one would find out that he hadn't joined my family as a son-in-law. My husband's last name was Smith, and my last name is also Smith. Since our last names were the same before we got married, no one would notice, even if he hadn't submitted the marriage certificate. When he married you, he played the tragic role of a widower and told you he remarried, even though he didn't have a divorce on his record. As I muttered, Melissa apologized.
I'm sorry. Even though it was a misunderstanding, I did something terrible.
No, I'm sorry too. Even though I didn't know, I was involved with your husband. John is overwhelmingly at fault here.
But wait, I still can't wrap my head around this.
That's understandable. I've had some time to process after hearing the story, but being in detention and then finding out her husband was bigamous is a lot to take in. I didn't know she was the hospital director's daughter, but knowing that made some things clearer. If he wanted to get married and make me disappear, it was essential that I was not present at the hospital. So he forced me to quit. I will get revenge on him. I've caused you so much sadness, but it will end here. I'll leave what comes next to you and will pay for anything necessary.
No, I'll cooperate with you. There's nothing you need to pay. We'll make him pay for everything.
Melissa's expression was quite fierce as she spoke.
I'll contact my father to make sure you have a place to stay. In the meantime, could you stay with your sister?
Of course. I will take her in.
So, sell your house.
I'll withdraw my complaint against you and your son. I'm really sorry for what happened to him, for giving him a record.
It's okay. My son is very smart and will become a doctor. He'll work at my father's hospital, so there won't be any issues. I don't want you to think I'm taking this lightly, but there's no need to worry about him.
Melissa and I smiled at each other awkwardly. I never thought I would be smiling with the woman who nearly killed me, but given all that had happened, it didn't seem that strange. I left the detention center and stayed at my sister's place for a while. 2 weeks later, I got a call from John, who had been on his business trip.
Hey, there's no house. Where are you?
Your home isn't with me, it's with Melissa, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
I'm staying at my sister's place right now. If you want to come, go ahead. The call ended, and 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang at my sister's house.
Are you okay? I heard from your sister that you were hurt, but she said it wasn't serious, so I didn't come. Are you mad at me? I'm sorry, okay?
John. Then John hugged me. It was a hug I used to long for, but now it just made me feel disgusted. Don't touch me. Who is the Melissa woman to you?
Wait, did she attack you? She's crazy. She's attacked me many times too. It was just a fling, but she got serious. Whenever I tried to break up, she'd go nuts. She's dangerous, so stay away from her.
So you admit to cheating?
I'm sorry. I tried to cut her off, but I couldn't. I was scared of getting hurt. I was selfish.
I see, but I know everything. I know that the person you were cheating with was me.
No, that's not true.
I was taken to your hospital. When I asked for you, they said I was dead. How do you explain that?
Well,
A director's daughter and someone like me were worlds apart, right?
she threatened to fire me if I didn't marry her. It's all her fault. Please believe me, we've been together for so long. I messed up our anniversary dinner, and I'm really sorry.
That's not the point. We don't even have an anniversary.
What?
We're not legally married.
That's
Enough. I'm tired of your pathetic excuses.
It's her fault. Because of her. We were a happy couple, and she ruined it.
Should I call her in? That was the signal for Melissa to enter the room.
What? You got out.
So you knew I was in detention and didn't contact me?
Yeah. If you stayed in, I could have managed somehow. You're such a nuisance.
What did you say? Do you even hear yourself? You should apologize to me and Amanda first.
Why should I apologize? I haven't done anything wrong.
You're truly the worst. How could I not see how awful you are? I want a divorce.
Fine. Divorce then. Alimony and child support. Fine.
What's with that attitude?
You're the one asking for a divorce, right? You didn't expect me to beg you to stay, did you?
No, but still, your attitude is too much.
You said divorce, so it's divorce. I don't need to chase after you.
Then John turned to face me.
This time we can finally get married, Amanda. I've made you wait for so long. But honestly, I spent more time with you than with Melissa. Most of my time with her was at home. You're so beautiful, Amanda. I want to show you off. Let's file the marriage papers tomorrow.
Do you even understand what you're saying?
Of course I do. After thinking long and hard, I realize I want to marry Melissa, but I want to be with you, show you off, and be proud of you. That's why I couldn't leave you, and I'm confident I made you happier than anyone else.
That's not the issue here.
It's fine, don't be stubborn. Oh, is Melissa making it hard for you to be honest? Melissa, get out. You're making things difficult.
John, enough already. I yelled.
No need to yell, Amanda. You're very righteous, and I love that about you. But calm down. Come into my arms.
His smile was genuine, the biggest he'd ever given me. I felt an eerie sense of madness from John, who didn't see anything wrong with the situation.
Oh, but Amanda, if I divorce Melissa, I might get fired. But being a doctor is a skilled job, so I can work anywhere.
John continued as if nothing was wrong. Wait a minute. First, an apology, then finalize the divorce with Melissa. And of course, we can't fix our relationship. Why don't you see the gravity of the situation?
Because I did nothing wrong. Sure, Melissa had to put up with a bit, but I heard you everything you want. And now she wants a divorce. Honestly, she benefited more from our relationship. I married the director's daughter, hoping to become the director someday. That's all I gained. But you, Amanda, got to travel abroad and were happy, even without the legal marriage. That's why it went unnoticed. It's all Melissa's fault. You should apologize, Melissa. Attacking my beloved Amanda is insane.
I was too shocked to respond. Sorry, John. I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving you and will be seeking compensation. We were engaged, after all. It's compensation for breaking off the engagement.
Why, Amanda, calm down. You love hugs, don't you?
I backed away, terrified of his smiling, open arms.
Don't reject me. You're everything to me, and I'm everything to you.
Stay away. I don't want this. As I tried to escape, Melissa stepped in front of me.
Enough. You're disgusting.
At her words, John's face twisted with anger.
You had everything. Live comfortably. I married you out of pity, thinking being a single mother was pathetic. And now you cause this mess? Unbelievable.
John lunged at Melissa. But the police my sister had called arrived just in time.
I've done nothing wrong.
He yelled, but he had been seen trying to attack. Clearly, he was in the wrong. As John was arrested, I said, I'm filing a complaint for marriage fraud.
Marriage fraud? You were just fooled. You had a happy life, so it's not fraud.
With a smile, he was taken away by the police. John was released soon after, as there was no financial loss from our long relationship. Then, John showed up at the hospital I work.
Since I'm likely getting fired, I thought I'd apply here. We can work together again. It's what you wanted, right?
I want nothing from you. I loved you because I didn't know the truth. Now that I do, I don't need you.
Don't say that. After I got out, Melissa's parents have been a nightmare. Let's run away together. You can't sue for marriage fraud anymore. Accept it and stay with me. At your age, you won't find anyone else.
Sorry, but I really need you to leave me alone now. I never want to see you again. If you work at this hospital, I'll quit immediately.
Please, let's rebuild our relationship.
It's impossible. Excuse me, security. There's an intruder with potential weapons. The security guard rushed in and restrained John. He was still smiling, even in that situation. Seeing him like this made me wonder if he was just mentally unstable or if he had a twisted view of women. John once told me that his parents divorced because his mother had an affair. His mother took him in only for the child support money, even though he wanted to stay with his father. His mother never remarried and constantly had different men around. John reached out to his father at his breaking point, but it seems his father, who had already remarried and had children of his own, said he couldn't take him in. John, with nothing else to do, focused on his studies and became a doctor. He hated his mother so much that he never introduced her when we got engaged, and he didn't invite her to his wedding with Melissa, as I later learned from Melissa. This background might explain why John had such a warped view of women, but everyone's upbringing is different. While it's understandable that his environment shaped him, it doesn't justify hurting others. John might be a victim too, but I can't sympathize with him. In the end, he was fired, had to pay alimony to both Melissa and me, and lost all his savings. Now homeless, he was living on loans. He applied to various hospitals, but the rumors of his bigamy spread quickly. Additionally, his arrest for marriage fraud was sensationalized by the media, making it impossible for him to work as a doctor. Walking around town, he'd be whispered about, "Isn't that the bigamist?" Or, "Isn't he the doctor who committed marriage fraud?" Eventually, he couldn't even walk in public. To pay off his debts, he worked night shifts doing road maintenance and day shifts in a warehouse. He tried contacting me a few more times, but when I never responded, he gave up. I hope he reflects on his actions and finds a grounded way of living. That's my sincere wish. Nowadays, I occasionally meet up with Melissa. We might not be friends in the traditional sense, but our shared experience brought us close. Even though Melissa once almost killed me, she's now just a kind woman. Being the same age, we have a lot in common.
I'm really sorry about what happened. You must have scars from your injuries.
It's okay. We were both victims, so don't apologize. How's your son?
He's studying hard to become a doctor. I thought he'd work at my father's hospital, but he wants to go to Germany, so maybe he won't be a doctor in the US.
That must be hard, having him far away.
Yes, but I want him to enjoy his life after all the sacrifices he's made.
I understand.
Are you thinking about getting remarried?
Actually, it would be my first marriage, not remarriage.
Oh, right.
Not really. For now, I just want to focus on my work and living my life fully. I want to live peacefully now. That's my wish.